Hello and welcome to Cockatoo, Cockatoos with Attitude. And here's our favorite hamster, Manderbird.
Nobody gets that joke
Uh,
besides me.
it's it's only for a few. It's one of those jokes that only applies to a few people. What you doing over there? He says, "I'm not a hamster. I'm not. I'm a big cockatoo who's afraid of a little tiny umbrella." And Lucy can't be in the room or he freaks out. So she is getting a little pushy. For a small bird, she's getting as pushy as Simone. Gonna take over the world. That's the thing. There's no dominance in parrots, so it's whoever's the most territorial. She doesn't bother birds outside of her territory, but get too close to Lucy when she doesn't want you there, and you'll find out. She'll tell you all about it. Get out of here. Poor Mander. You just can't figure it out. Yeah, we're going to start doing this just for fun, but going to start putting up a movie quote and see if somebody can figure out what movie it's from. Since I remember a lot of quotes from movies. I don't remember what happened yesterday, but I remember quotes from movies. So. Hey, Mander. We have Mander with us today and Lorelei, a baby girl. She says, "I'm not a baby anymore. I'm an adolescent." Actually, she's a full adult. And Sugar, caught her doing a rouse. And Jasmine. Because Mander is so spooked by other birds, we only have these four in here right now. Right, Mander? Can't have Cosmo in here because she'd just go around and try to kill everybody. So she does pretty good outside in the aviary, which is coming up soon, but starting to get down into the high 80s instead of the 90s and hundreds now. So soon we'll be able to go outside. Right, Mander? The Cosmo is doing much better, and I've been surprised by some of the things that I didn't realize were part of the problem that are now starting to come up. One of which just about blew my eardrums out. So, yeah, yeah, I know. I know. How are you doing, Meander? Hmm? You're like a camel, like a dromedary with one hump. Hmm? What's up, Lorelei? She was trying to eat my clothing earlier. She's good at that. Oh, one of the things that I would never have, I never associated it. It just never crossed my mind because Lorelei's been affected in the nerves that affect her eyes. But there's other nerves up in that area too. That ganglia there has things like the beak, which was growing improperly, which is now not growing improperly anymore. Very odd. It was quite odd that the left side of her beak was overgrowing. That stopped. But what I found out yesterday is that she's been quiet. She hasn't really made a sound in like 6 months. And I tried to get her to say hi, cockatoo, and nothing. So I'm walking with her into the living room, just delivering food yesterday, and while she's on my shoulder. And the next thing I hear is squawk, 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 which she hasn't done she just hasn't squawked in 6 months. Well, you'd think I would have registered that as part of the problem with avian ganglionitis, right? But I didn't. So, I mean, I just turned and looked at her like, where is that coming from? You've been so quiet. And then it dawned on me what was going on. Apparently, it had been working on the nerves that also work her ability to speak, that work the syrinx. So she figured out that she can squawk now, so she's squawking. So I'm hoping soon she'll start saying hi, cockatoo again. So that's one of those deals. We can quite often think something is behavioral when it's actually physical. So
We could greet some of our chatters. There are already a lot there. So let's start with the first one. That was Jocelyn Triggle. So hello and welcome, Jocelyn and her bird Cinnamon. Then we have Tiki Tiki. Eleanor is in chat. Welcome. Rosebud is here. Falconsu is here. Welcome, Falconsu. Then we have Colin Thurston and Thunderbang. Let's see. Have I got everyone? Please complain in chat if not. Otherwise, welcome to all of you and all the silent viewers.
hi, everybody. Thank you, Amy, for greeting all of our flock. Yeah, I got to tell you, I'm just amazed. That's the things that you don't think about. She's been quiet for so long that but it never dawned on me that it wasn't behavioral. And the nerves, obviously, nerves are what work the syrinx, which is what they have to speak with. So, which speaks a little louder than we do. Um, they have better voices, louder voices, right, Mander? Here's somebody who used to talk too, so you have to wonder about that. He used to talk, but he doesn't anymore. He'll do his jungle sound sometimes, but he doesn't actually say anything anymore, do you, boy? Hmm? Lorelei still says Lorelei, Lorelei, don't you? Lorelei. And baby girl, this is baby girl. She says hi, baby girl. Hey, baby girl.
Eleanor needs the StreamYard link. Let's see.
Did I not send it to the right place? That can happen.
You haven't sent it at all.
Well, I am looking right at it. Oh, I didn't press this. I didn't press the send button. That's the problem. You don't press the send button, it doesn't go. It's funny how that works. So I wonder what other things that Cos will start doing that she wasn't doing before. Right now, she's doing a lot of running around. That her best eye is her right eye. So what she will do is she runs around in circles on this perch. Hi, Eleanor. She runs around in.
Hello.
It's good to have you here. She runs
Hello.
around in
Hello.
circles on the perch. She just runs around and runs around. That's because she's looking at everything, and she gets involved if I do something she does. There was a box. I just took a small box and I put it on the paper underneath her perch because I have to blow air through here early in the morning to refresh the air because it's usually too hot to do that in the afternoon. But it was blowing the paper underneath where she sits, so I put a box down there, and she started screaming about it. She wouldn't have even noticed it a month ago because she wouldn't have seen it. So now she's starting to notice her environment and make comments about it. She watches me go in and out of the room, things she wasn't doing before. But it's funny how you can be startled. I mean, she wasn't talking, so I should have guessed that that was part of the problem, but I didn't. See, it doesn't matter how much you've studied, you can still have blind spots. So humans are good at that. We're excellent at the blind spot, which is why I used to point people to that video. I think maybe 1 in 100 actually went and looked at that whodunit video on YouTube, even though it's more than 8 seconds. I know that makes it difficult, but it's less than 2 minutes, so helps you realize just how much you miss. But it is funny now. She's active. She's starting to play with toys. Which she wasn't doing before because she couldn't see them, I'm sure. Dr. Jenkins was a little surprised. He hadn't heard of any birds getting their vision back, um, but it was in one of the abstracts that Dr. Dalhousen had written. He said it was important to get a high dose of Onsior into them so that any damage could could repair itself. Because once the nerve's completely destroyed, they're blind for life. So, what you doing, Mander? Sugar is sleeping.
I got booted from the stream somehow. I don't know how that happened.
Yeah, I have no idea. I
I
just
can't imagine where that could have happened.
and then I added you again.
Yeah. And it was nothing to do with my sidekick, because she's on the floor and the phone's on the table, so it wasn't her. It was the interwebs.
Could be telekinesis. She's probably reaching up and touching it, with her mind. Um, yeah, she needs some kind of gloves that you can put on her fingers so when she touches the screen, it doesn't send it off.
Yeah, she's not going to wear gloves.
When it gets cold, she might have to, though.
We'll see.
Winter comes around, right?
Yeah, maybe.
I always liked wearing gloves, but I didn't realize I had Raynaud's disease. But yeah, you didn't have to coax me to put gloves on, right, Mander? Mander, Mander.
Little Manda.
No, we're not doing that, Mander.
I was going to say, what a sweet little boy. And then he's like, oh. Okay, that's not so sweet.
What season is it, Mander? Huh? So Cosmo was when I first got her. She was pretty much rambunctious, flying around and getting into things. She didn't have tail feathers though, because she used to rip them out or shred them. But after being on the medicine for a while, she got her tail feathers back and she was flying around. But she hasn't wanted to fly recently, and that's because of the avian ganglioneuritis. So, but now she's occasionally taking flight. I think she's still a little nervous about flying, but
And she'll need to get her fitness back if it's been a long time.
it's been a while, that's for sure.
But she used to be a good little flyer, so hopefully she'll take to it again.
Well, she's certainly practicing flapping her wings. She flaps her wings at Romeo. She flaps her wings at Bob. She flaps her wings at Cecil. I'm trying to put food in his cage, and she's up there on my shoulder, just about taking off, flapping her wings so hard.
No, what a sweetie. She is such a
Cecil
good
just,
girl.
she is, but Cecil looks at me like, I know she doesn't like me. I, I'm not too sure about that bird, but she'll do okay once we get the aviary going. Again,
Yeah, I'll have to send Cecil a condolence card. Like, sorry to hear that Cosy's better. Now she can attack you again.
yeah, it's been a while since that's happened. It's good to have her coming back, though. She's so full of life, you know. She's not just sitting on a perch, ignoring the world, which is easy to do when you can't see it. I was surprised that Jenkins hadn't heard of birds getting their sight back, but I mean, there's only one abstract on it out there. But so Dahlhausen only wrote about one bird that was going blind that got their sight back. But you know, as this autoimmune disease attacks the nerves, if it completely cuts through the nerve and destroys it, well, that's it. You're done. But if it damages it, you know, you can get about a millimeter of repair in a year. So it should come back. Cecil, on the other hand, had a good friend who ran another rescue for many years. Write me back that, oh, I've had a whole bunch of larger birds with fatty liver disease. Not one of them lived through it. And I'm thinking I didn't have to say that to me, but
Is
we'll
it?
see.
Is that one of the things he's been tested for?
He was tested for it, didn't show up in his blood, but
Hmm.
Jenkins said that doesn't show up until the late stages of it. Um, so, I mean, he has it, it's obvious from his liver, and AGN can aggravate it. So he's getting the Onsior, and he's got another prescription drug that I hope we get here soon. I keep bugging both veterinary offices, and they don't say anything. That's the way things usually work. Um, What it's a lipid blocker, so it'll block the fats from going into his liver. He's got a change of diet, and they're all a little cranky with me because I've changed their diet. Um, Dyes are not usually a problem, but if you have a bird that has a problem with its liver, well, the dyes that are in parrot food have to get processed through the liver. So, plus it makes it hard to check their poop because some of the color comes out. So I've had to put them on Supreme and Missouri. The Supreme is the kind that doesn't have the coloring to it. It's basically the same kind of pellet, but it doesn't have the coloring. So they like the colors. They like to pick the colors. So that's an issue for them. I also had to reduce their treats a little bit, kind of nudging them over into eating more of the pellets. I made 4 batches. 4 different batches. You gotta try that. That's fun. Takes up a lot of counter space because I made 4 different types of birdie bread, none of which have any regular flour in it. There's some garbanzo flour in there, some almond flour, depending on each one of them is different though. So then they have mix different vegetables or nuts that are ground into them, or flaxseed or chia seed. I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff that went into each one of these. So now they're all getting something that's different. They're used to getting my regular birdie bread, but now they get something different every day. But they seem to be liking it and eating it, so they also get a smaller portion of it. I know Cecil isn't too happy about it. He's like, "This is a portion." He looks at me like, "Okay, I like it, but couldn't you give me just a little more?" again, I'm just trying to force him into a pelleted diet, and then we're with less trimmings. Not that he got that much before, but cutting him down from 8 sunflower seeds to 4. No fruit. I'm not putting any kind of fruit in there anymore. The problem with simple sugars is if they get too many, the same happens with humans, even though our systems are different. But if you get sugar in your bloodstream and your body can't use it, it turns it to fat. With fat, your body has to break it down before it can do that. So it's safer to give them. You're not supposed to give them a lot of fat, but it's safer to give them fat than it is to give them sugar. So I was talking to someone who was saying that they were using dandelion for the liver issue as well as milk thistle, and it has to be standardized, and you have to get the exact. I mean, it can't just be anything. It's got to have the exact amount that's in there, the active ingredient, and then you have to figure it out by their weight and all that. But anyway, they were saying to use dandelion, and I looked it up. There's no evidence at all, except what's running around the internet. There aren't any vets that prescribe that because we don't have any evidence it works. But mixing it with orange juice is a definite no-no. I mean, let's get some high fructose in there and spike that body into producing fat. No, I don't think so. Right now, I've switched them to almond butter, which they like better. Uh, it's a little gritty, but they like it better. I mean, this one for the almond butter, she'll run over and she runs over and begs. She wasn't doing that with the peanut butter. So I also have some sunflower seed butter, which is even better. But I'm kind of trying each one of them. Bob liked the sunflower seed butter, so yeah, I know sunflower seeds have a bad reputation, but they're high protein. There's a lot of protein in there, along with fat and carbs. So it's mostly fat and protein. So when you're dealing with almond butter, you're dealing with mostly fat. You having fun over there, Mander? The cause is still eating like there's no end to it, and her poop looks a lot better. But she eats a lot of the. She was eating a lot of those the red Zupreme, and then it passed through her, so it was hard to read where she was on her poop. So I hope she's okay with the new variety. It doesn't slow her down from eating, but I did notice that Bob has. You would find a lot of food on the bottom of his cage where he had just thrown it out. Now you find his bowl has a lot of dust in it, and you don't find too much down below. So there are, if he's eating more pellets, then everybody's eating more pellets. They do good on their mash too. They seem to be eating a little more mash. I haven't had to fiddle with that. That the mash is already good for them. The only thing is that the next batch I make, I probably won't put any fruit in it at all. I don't put much fruit in there anyway, but except for bananas, which they have to come out of the mash. What else have I found? Cosmo likes lentils, and Lorelei likes lentils more than pinto beans. So
So it sounds like there's not going to be a mutiny then,
no, it does get a
because
little
of the
loud at
food.
night when I go back and put things in their bowl, and they're like, I was looking for a couple of pistachios, and there's one pistachio in there. Well, Bob's the only one who's really been yelling about it because he's actually eating a lot more of the pellets, and then he's finishing which is hard to believe, he's finishing his mash, And then he's yelling at me about it. So like, I want more. You having fun over there, Mander?
He does. Look at him.
I'm trying to
He's a
bring up
busy
some.
boy, I think. He's building a little nest or something.
There we go.
Cute.
Yeah, he's definitely gone into that season. He's in the nesting season now.
He's building a nest, but not because he wants youngs, but for his parents.
He can revert to being an egg, and some parents can come into
Yeah.
his nest and
I
sit on
think
him.
he wants to sit in the nest and being cared for again.
Mm.
Well, the other thing I'm waiting for on Cosmo, which I think is going to show up soon, is when I used to have her in the kitchen, I had to pull that. I put in a actually it's something to retain heat and cold too, but I have drapery that I pull across there, and she's going to take off and go flying into the living room at some point. That's what she used to do. So, but I can tell she's getting better. It's kind of hard to tell with Romeo, but Romeo with Cecil. He seems to be more active. He's not sitting around as much or hanging on the side of the cage, but don't know if we caught it in time.
It kind of seems like the decline is slow, but then the recovery is quicker.
Yeah, it's hard to track because what it happened slowly. I wasn't aware of it happening. Um, with Cosmo, I could see that Cecil was spending more time on the bottom of the cage underneath the paper, but he was also chewing up paper. So this looked like he was nesting, but actually he was trying to rest. So you know how they are. They're prey animals, so they hide their illness. Man, they're Lorelai, what are you doing, you big silly? Hmm?
Do we know if Cosy's sister has been tested for AGN?
I haven't heard back, but she said that she took her in to get tested, so we'll see.
Because it's likely that Simone has it too, from what you said.
Well, it's likely it's almost certain that she's ABV positive because that's where Cosmo got it, but it doesn't mean that you're always going to get it. But she's had some symptoms in the past that definitely sound like AGN. But it's difficult to explain to people who've been listening to PDD for years, and when you try to tell them there is no such thing, it's tough. But it's not an expensive test, so. But yeah, it's likely from the things that have happened in the past. She's on some drugs she doesn't need to be on, and she needs to be on Onsior. But as soon as someone finds out you're going to have to give your bird injections, then that's when you start to see well, I can't do that kind of thing. She hasn't said that. I'm not saying she has, but that's usually, try to find some way out of it because they don't want to get into it. I don't want to give injections either. Sometimes they're going to bleed after you give an injection too. So sometimes it just happens. You just you make sure when you give the injection that you pull back slightly. There's no, so you don't catch a vein, but which is hard to do with one of them anyway. But you make sure, and then, but sometimes it'll start bleeding. So you have to have your little super clot there just in case, and you put your thumb against it for about 20 seconds just to make sure that it coagulates. But yeah, first time somebody who's working with a bird sees, oh no, they're bleeding after what I did. I go, yeah, well, it's going to happen. It does. Vets look for that too. It's not like they're looking down there for fun. They're looking to make sure they're not bleeding. It's just anytime your body gets poked, it might bleed. So, and it's considering how thin those needles are, it's never going to be anything terrible, but you just want to try to minimize that kind of thing. Right, Mander? You think so, Mander? Mander knows everything. Don't you, Mander? You're a good bird. He doesn't know that. He doesn't know that he's a good bird.
Well, but we tell him all the time.
Yeah, he doesn't believe it.
Oh.
That's because all the other birds treat him like get out of here. That's what they say to him. Get out of here. We don't want you around.
It's only because he's so funny when he runs away. If he stood his ground, I think they would like him more.
Yep, that's true.
You're your own worst enemy, Manda.
He is. He's such a cute boy. And he's got a good personality. It's just that his tail end is screwed up, so. And you look at someone like Peaches who had the mobility problems too, but everybody liked her. She got along with all the birds. She even got along with Murray. That's Murray, the African gray who didn't like cockatoos.
I think at some point in her life, Peaches.
I think I only heard about half of what you said.
Mm-hmm.
Something about at some point in her life, and then I didn't hear any more. Did we lose Eleanor? I can't tell. Nope, it says she's still there.
She's still there, yeah.
Yeah,
I
but
have
I
no
didn't hear
idea what's going on today, so.
Hi guys, I'm back. I think I figured it out. I think it's my VPN because I'm living in Kish, Darzyland, so we can't use the internet anymore. So I have a VPN, but I think that's probably blocking the interweb signals.
That might be that somehow interferes with StreamYard.
Yeah.
VPNs
And then Sunny bashed her head on the dining table.
Oh no.
But anyway, I was just saying that I think at some point in her life, Peaches made a decision that her goal was to make everybody love her, everyone in the world, and she wouldn't rest until she had achieved that.
She always tried, even with those two people I was living with that couldn't have cared less one way or another whether she lived or died. She tried and tried and tried, and they just beat your head against the wall. I wouldn't beat my head against the wall that long, but she did. She didn't seem to take it to heart. She just kept trying. Commander wants to be everybody's friend, but he doesn't know how to do it.
Poor little guy.
You're a good boy, aren't you, big boy? Mhm. But I'm encouraged with Cosmo. She holds still fairly well, so I can give her injections. She's her vision's coming back. Her beak isn't growing crazy anymore. She can squawk again. I mean, that's a lot from one bird. And sometimes she's going to say hi, cockatoo to me now. It was funny though when she started squawking, she just kept doing it. I think it was just like, wow, I can do this again. So she just kept squawking and squawking. And said, Cause, what are you doing? And then it dawned on me, didn't it? Didn't it, Lorelei? What were you going to do? You're looking guilty. What were you going to do? Are you being guilty? Are you guilty of something? Mhm. Laurel fly.
Let's ask the graveyard of zippers.
You shouldn't call those down feathers because they don't really float down. What are you doing? Oh, Lorelei, you're such a good girl. They don't get to see the Lorelei much. They don't get to see the Lorelei. A Lorelei. Hey, baby. Hey, baby. So it'll be interesting to see what her next jaunt into being normal is. The left eye is coming along a little slower. She can see out of it, but it's blurry. You can tell. So she tries to use her right eye when she looks at you all the time. But at least she doesn't walk over to her food bowl, turning her head, trying to put her eyes on her food to see what's in there. That's stopped. She can see it now, so she doesn't have to do all that weird gesticulations, right? Just moving around trying to see her food. Got some new feathers coming in there, kid. Yeah, when she first came, she was all chewed up. And she and Simone were barbering each other. And not only were they, ripping their own feathers out, they were ripping each other's feathers out. So they were feather picking and barbering. But she didn't look like much. And when birds are missing feathers on their head, usually that means that you've got beak and feather disease. But that's not what it was. It was barbering. So yeah, the only way they're going to miss feathers on their head is if they either have beak and feather, or if they're good with their feet and they rip them out with their feet. A couple of birds do that I've heard of, but it definitely it's more encouraging to see what Cosmo going through all this, because I'm crossing my fingers that the dietary changes and the Monsior and the milk thistle, but it has to be, I have to stress, it has to be a dilution that so it can't be one of those that just says, oh, you're going to get so many milligrams of milk thistle. That doesn't work. It's got to show the actual dilution so that you can do a bolus on it. But Jenkins said that it definitely does work. Not on all of them, but it does work. Main thing is the diet, though. So it's encouraging to watch Cause get all playful and messing around with life and keeping an eye on what's going on now. At least one eye. Huh? What, Lorelei?
One's better than none, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, she can see out of the other one, but it's nowhere near as clear as you got one eye, everything's clear out of, and the other one's very a little blurry. But if it's blurry, then it should come back, as that means there's still a nerve there that can get repaired. So, right, Mander? It's funny that I have to keep the smallest bird we have out of here because Mander can't handle it. It's too much for Mander. And he's the biggest bird. Well, he looks like the biggest bird. Cecil weighs almost as much as he does.
Oh, but Manda doesn't know that he's the biggest bird. He thinks he's just a little baby.
Yeah, he's just a baby bird. He's just a baby bird. Are you a baby bird? Well, he used to like doing these tricks that he does too, but with his pelvis the way it is, I hesitate to
Oh,
do things like have
whenever.
him play dead and do sit-ups. That's not too good for his tail end either. But he does sit-ups, don't you?
Hmm.
Or he likes to do it. I just don't think it's good for him. So
Hmm.
might actually be, who knows? But Jenkins and I couldn't figure out what he can and can't do. So just a little. It's odd how humans can just block things out. I mean, you see these changes with cause over the months, and it doesn't dawn on you that it might be something like a physical problem. You think she's just getting quiet and not paying attention. Yeah. I'm gonna have to do Romeo too, get his blood tested because his beak's starting to do some funny things. So, but that's not going to be fun because as soon as you take him somewhere like that to a vet, he won't trust you. He'll hide away from you and do everything. So if I need to get him out and give him a shot, I'm going to have to take and probably put a towel on the floor to do it. Get him in a towel, and then the trust thing will be gone. But I mean, if he's got it, I'll have to do something. But his beak's not growing normally.
You need a mascot suit so that you can dress up in it and he won't realise it's you. It's like what they do in zoos with orphaned animals. They get in a costume and then the animal thinks it's another one of them and not a human being.
That might be what I have to do. That's a good idea.
Although Romeo's probably bright enough to figure out that it's just you in a suit. But hey, you could give it a try.
Well, it's worth it because at this point, just to get his blood, yeah, I just have to clip a nail, and I've got the silver nitrate to seal it up with. But just and you don't have to be the vet doesn't have to send the sample in, so you can send a sample in yourself. You just have to, package it the way they're used to getting them. That's all. Well, that's probably need to do it with all the birds here, just to be sure. It's not contagious, but it's, you know, the Bornavirus plus what other viruses like polyoma and things. If they've been exposed to any of that, they could have that issue. So that's just what I'd like to find out, that half the birds have it, and I have to give like line them up to give them injections. I'm not looking forward to that, but it beats the alternative, because if anybody's seen what a bird looks like after it's had PDD for a while, just before it's dying, you don't want to go there. And it's not fair to shorten their life. It's what my when I took Peaches in, the doc said, she's not going to pull through this. That was back when they were just doing some of the research on rabinocoxib, onsior, and he said this has been shown to help, but they didn't have any guidelines or anything at the time. So I gave it to her, and she did get better for a few days, and then I'd give her at that time it was like every 5 days. Every 3 days is what the recommendation is now. And the dosage was a lot lower than what we give today too. So, but she she did not want to go bye-bye. She was not looking to be taken out of this world. So she went on her own terms.
Well, who knows? Maybe her soul is out there giving energy to all the people researching this stuff.
Wouldn't surprise me. She was a beautiful soul.
That's what she'd say. If I can't be on the earth, then I'll be in the cosmos.
Sunny
I'll come
has
back as
opinions as well.
I'll come back as a little girl and beat my mother up.
Yeah. Well, Sonny bashed her head on the dining table again.
Oh no.
It's because she's trying to walk from the living room to the dining room through a narrow gap, but I can't fit through the gap holding her hands because I have to walk her. She can't walk by herself. So then obviously I'm stuck, and then she just goes straight into the table and bangs her head. But she doesn't know why that's happening.
Takes a while to learn cause and effect.
And I don't think she realizes that I'm a different person with different physical dimensions as well. She thinks I'm just some sort of, I don't know, amorphous blob that belongs to her.
Yep. And one day that'll all shift, and you'll be like, "Where did she go?"
And then she'll be like, "Mom, you're ruining my life."
Mm-hmm. Hey, man, how you doing there, buddy boy? Tough time of year for you, huh? Well, it's encouraging to watch Cosmo. So, and she always was funny. She was one of those birds that bounced her head a lot. And she she'd be hi cockatoo all the time, and all that stuff during all this move too, where we had to move from one place to another. These kind of changes started to happen during all that. It's been a slow process where she's been going blind. So by the time we got here, she was already starting to kind of just sit and not do anything. And I put toys in there and she'd ignore them. Well, she couldn't see them, so she was ignoring them all right. Amazing that she's almost blind and it's coming back though.
I mean, I wonder if she actually felt physically ill, because if it makes them feel ill as well as having these symptoms, then maybe when they get on the medicine, they're like, "Oh, I feel better," and then it kind of makes them perk up even more than you might expect.
Depends on the nerves it affects. I saw videos at Dollhouse's video, which is out on YouTube, and I wish people would watch it. But if they can't watch an 8-second video about a cute bird, it's hard to figure them sitting down for 2 hours or 2.5 hours watching a veterinarian discuss it. But they show an African gray who is walking around, okay, on a perch and looking at their feet while they walk. So the nerves that are affected, it's kind of like having, in that case, it's a little bit like being a leper. They can't feel their feet. They don't know where they are, so they have to look. That's something, if you watch Lucy, she does a lot of that where she looks at her foot, and if she holds her foot out, it vibrates a little bit. So I'm thinking she might have it too. They did go through a lot of stress when we had to leave the one place and go into a place where we basically weren't wanted for the 7 months, and then move here. I mean, that's a lot of stress, and that's what can cause the avian bornovirus to move down from where it sits inside the neuron in the brain to move down and spread itself. And when it does that, the nerves get irritated, and then the body attacks. So, I mean, they went through a lot of stress during all that. So.
Yeah, it could have triggered it.
Highly likely it did, because that's what triggers that virus to come out, is stress. So because it can sit up there and be in the bird's brain for a whole lifetime and nothing happens, you never know it, and you couldn't even take a test and find out they had the virus, because unless it's actually what we call shedding, but unless it's actually going down the nerve and spreading through the body, you won't know it's there. So that's why they say that about 40% of the birds have ABV, but you know what? They could all have it and we wouldn't know. Because if it isn't coming out, if it isn't shedding, you're not going to do it. No test is going to show it.
It's like chickenpox. Everyone has it.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
nearly everyone, like 90% of people.
Yeah. We were all walking around, oh, this terrible virus is spreading. And now we're like, no. The only thing that is kind of worrying is that since it gets passed from the parents into the egg, is it sexually transmitted? Might be. It's not transmitted through the air, and it's not transmitted through like blood contact. We know that because they've done the test. It isn't transmitting that. Yeah.
How cute. Amanda display.
Wow, Amanda.
Oh my, that was so cute. I think Jem and Jamie donated $10 to us. So thank you so much for that. And I think Amanda is just reenacting the thank you video himself.
Pretty much.
Yeah, he's saying thanks very much, Jem and Jamie.
And Lorelai does as well. Oh my gosh, is that cute?
We will do the thank you video, but right now Mander's kind of doing it on his own.
Let's just watch Manda, and when he's done, we can watch the video. Hope everyone is okay with that. I guess so. We all love man at this place, I guess.
Arr, 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 arr. Arr, 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 arr. You didn't do any more of your arr, arr, arr. Well, you got him started last time, Lorelei. Now she's just sitting on my shoulder. Thank you for sneezing on my head. I always wanted that. He's a happy bird right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you can see it when he does jungle sounds.
Oh, you done? You done with all that? Oh, they've moved things around. Isn't that nice? That's what I like to see. Move things around so I don't know where our stuff is. Let's see. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Yeah, it didn't look. They said they made some changes, and it's like, where is everything?
Hi, Mander. So cute. I think before we end the live stream, you have to tell us what or from what movie this quote is. I'm not sure. Has anybody any idea and wants to say it in chat? Because I think I haven't missed, or have I missed somebody saying it?
It's not Quatermass, is it?
Mm-mm.
Casablanca?
Okay. All right. So it is Peter Sellers, and he's an RAF officer.
Oh, is it
He's t-
how I learned to love the bomb?
yeah, it's Dr. Strangelove. And he's talking to
Strangelove, that's
Keenan.
it.
He's talking to Keenan Wynn. And Keenan Wynn, he convinces Keenan Wynn to bust change out of the Coke machine so he can talk to the president. And then Keenan Wynn goes, "Well, you know what's going to happen, don't you? You're going to have to face the Coca-Cola company." If you haven't seen Doctor Strangelove, it is one of the best dark comedies ever made, and it was a Stanley Kubrick movie. It's also got Slim Pickens, who's the guy flying the bomber into Russia, and you'll hear James Earl Jones' voice in there because he's in the movie. And the guy who played the Irish cop, Sterling Hayden, in The Godfather, is the one who plays General Jack D. Ripper, who sends his whole wing in to attack Russia. It is my favorite black comedy. There are a bunch of comedies that I like that are dark, but that's my favorite one. Captain Batiguano, if that is your name. So thank you, Amy and Eleanor, for being here and moderating. And we'll keep everybody updated on what's going on with Cos and with Cecil. And maybe next time we'll have another Mander Screech. Mander Screech!
Amanda. And thank you
Bye.
everyone for coming, and thanks Don for hosting the live stream as always.
Oh, it's our pleasure, isn't it, Mander? And we will see you on Wednesday, I hope. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Science knowledge only adds to the excitement, the mystery, and the awe of a flower.
Evidence is evidence. It's public. Everybody can look at the evidence and assess it, and eventually, if there's enough evidence, come to the same conclusion.
The Chloe Sanctuary for Parrots and Cockatoos, a nonprofit charity dedicated to the empowerment of captive parrots and public awareness.